Good afternoon, Internet. I am CK, your wonderful YouTube host, for something a little bit unusual. A couple of you have asked for this, and now it's time for me to actually sit down and do it. So I'm going to give you an actual tutorial on how I built my second Voltron Castle of Lions based off the 1980s cartoon series. As you can see, I've got a kind of a bunch of stuff to go over with for you. And I'm going to start with the most important thing first, and that is this. This is the actual kind of launch bay for the lions themselves. And you might be thinking, why is this the most important part? Well, in the cartoon series, this is in the bottom of the castle, right in the middle, and it is the path that leads to the lions. So in most cases, in order to do this correctly, you're going to have to build the castle around this piece. And I'll get to that once I show you the framework of the castle itself, what I mean by that. But this is the important piece, and the reason why it's important is because it leads to the lions. Which leads me to the second most important piece, where you put the castle. Right where I'm doing this tutorial is not the best place, but it's close enough because you've got 3 out of the 4 main areas, because you've got water, you've got desert off in the distance, you've got forest. If we had a lava pit or something over there instead of where the ice is, this would be a pretty perfect place to build the castle, because then you would just build tunnels to each one of those areas. You know, one tunnel going off that way to the sand, one going to the forest, one going to the lava, etc. And I'll show you how we go about building those as well. But you also want to make sure in the top left corner I have my coordinates turned on. You're gonna need those, because if you build your castle and you want your lines to be way out over here and 30 blocks down, you're gonna need to know where that is to connect them. So make sure you turn that on, because that's gonna save you a whole lot of effort. So let's get back over here to this stuff, and let me show you how I made this. It's pretty straightforward. It's 5 blocks on the inside, and I used quartz for this because I'm in creative mode. I can use whatever blocks I wanted. I didn't have to craft all this stuff. You can use iron, you can use whatever looks good. I like this look, so that's why I picked it. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks across, with an opening going down for the pathway to the lions. 2 more blocks wide just to create kind of a indent. In the cartoon show, they run into the things and then go down, so adds a little bit of depth to it. And then just some upside down stairs, also of quartz, just for decorative purposes. You don't have to do it this way. I just thought it looked good. That's why I kept it like this. And then I just color coded it so I know which path went to which lion. You can rearrange those depending upon where you need to run your paths, but that's up to you. Also, I know my audio is not the best. It's kind of fading. I'm not in a place where I can really yell and shout and be loud, so if it's coming across a little soft, I'm sorry about that, but I do kind of have to respect my neighbors. And to give you a better idea of that same little thing, this is the same kind of layout without any decoration. So you can kind of get an idea of how the inside's going to look. I'll do it this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. Don't know why that noise came up. And then, 5 this way. So it's a 5 by 5 block. And you just take out the one spot for each one of the ladders going down. And then fill it in to make it look pretty. Now, when you get down to the bottom, of course, then you have to have the actual paths that the lions take, or the little Minecrafty trail blade thing. Yeah, I know words. I'll do this one last because I have to go over some more stuff about that one. The layout of this is real simple. For these 3 tunnels, there's 2 others that are going to be a little bit more complex, so I'll go over them separately. But it's basically 3 rows up, 3 rows over for the inside. So it's a 3x3 cube internally, and it would actually be a 5x5 for the outside wall. But you don't have to dig out the whole thing if you don't need to. You can just dig out the side walls as you're making the tunnels, dig out the roof, replace the bottom with the nice quartz because it just looks good, and then pick your materials based on whichever lion you're doing. In this case, this would be the green lion. You would go through the tunnel of trees, and this is just wood that I've got laid sideways with some glowstone in there to light the tunnel. And you just put a minecart down, and it's powered rail, so as soon as you get the power, it'll just scoot you right along and take you right to the lions. The lion bin itself, I did not do a thing for that. The lions aren't that complicated to build. I'll go ahead and build one now using some concrete, just to give you an idea. I'll do the red lion, and I'll do some quartz for his legs, and it's just three blocks like that, whoops, for the leg, and then the body is just the red, and again, it's just a 3x3 kind of area. I need one more. And the reason why I do a 3x3 is because then I can give it a neck. And a head. And sometimes I do a full body like this. Sometimes I kind of think it'd look better if I didn't. The black lion, you do a little bit differently. Let me get some black concrete just to show you the slight difference, because it's built the same way. The only thing is it has wings of red, so take all this out. Replace the head, just because looking at it this way it's a little confusing. Oops. Boy, my aim's terrible. There we go. Again, it's the same little 4 blocks like that. And now you have the black lion with the wings. And you just add the other set of legs, and I also do a tail, which is just, I bring the blocks up and over. And that's how I make the lions. And the individual bays that they go into, you can decorate those however you want. You can make them as big or as small as you think they need to be. Each time I've done them a little bit differently, so there's no real path that I have for that. Oh, and if I haven't said it yet, because I'm kind of rambling, I don't really have a set plan for any of this. Nothing I say is gospel. You don't have to do it this way. If you have a better idea or a better option, go for it. There are some caveats to that, especially when it comes to building the castle itself, and I'll talk about that in time. But do it your way. Make it look good. In fact, this path here is, of course, for the yellow lion going under the sand. But when I say do it your way, let me give you a better example, and that's why I set this one up the way it is. This is for the black lion. Now, I've got 3 different materials here. I've got bedrock, I've got black concrete, and I've got coal. All 3 of them create a different look going down the tunnel. Whichever one works the best for you, use it. Like it, enjoy it. It's yours. Build it the way you want. This part, however, try to stick close to this way, just because it's going to be, oh, what happened here? That's no good. Oops, I didn't pick any glass. Alright, something broke. Good thing I'm in creative mode, or this would really hurt. Right. Okay, so that's slightly messed up. I'll get you out of there, son. But these are the 2 paths for the red and blue line, obviously, one going through lava and one going through water. This one's broken. I'm not going to fix it now. You will get the idea from this one. It's the same exact thing. Same kind of tunnel, 3 by 3 by 3, but you'll notice that they're made in glass. Now what that means is you have to build out at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the reason for that is that you need to have that extra spot to dump the liquid. It's got to go in the cracks, otherwise you won't see it go down the sides. So, you know, like there's water in there. And you can see that better in the lava one. We'll go over here and you see, you know, I've got lava going all down the side here, so you need to take into account the space that you're going to need for that. So when you're digging out those tunnels, make sure that it's at least this big. You know, 7 wide, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tall, if not larger, because you may even want to go up a little bit higher as you fill in the lava down here, just so you don't have to deal with the burning animation. Or if you have enough room, you know, make it even bigger. Because once you're inside of it, you get this nice effect of, you know, zipping right through the lava, and it's really cool. And the same thing with the water. The water's not quite as cool. The water one, if you can do it, I would suggest doing it through an open water area where there's fish and other stuff around, so that when you're looking through the glass you don't see just dirt and stuff. You know, if you did something like that out here, which will take a little bit more effort because you'd have to remove a lot more water, and I'll just make a small one so you can see what I'm talking about. Just clearing a spot for the water to fall through. And again, just 3 up. 3 up on the other side. But just look, see, as much as I'm making just kind of a fairly small thing, look at how much room I'm needing to, you know, move around and be able to get in and out of it. And that's really kind of important for the water level and the lava. You don't need it for the other ones. The other ones, you know, again, same kind of thing. I'll just put it out here. Now, because I'm doing it underwater, you know, and then you just replace this with wood or sand or brick or whatever it is that you're using, and there's your tunnel. You know, you've opened up this area, you'd replace the white part with this. Actually, no, I'll go ahead and do it. You know, you'll have to excuse the water being there, but you'll get the point. Yeah, so when you're in the lions and you're coming out, it's gonna be, you know, there's your black lion hallway. Minus the water, of course. But for the blue, you know, there's your waterway. And if you're outside underwater, look at how much prettier that looks as you're zipping through. You can see all this stuff going underwater. Just woo, as you ride the minesweeper. Or if you have something like this, it would be amazing. I didn't even realize this was here until just a second ago. But you could take and run the entire minecart path through an area like this. Just zipping right through. Because that would look really cool as well. But that's up to you, you know, do it your way. These are only options and suggestions and tricks that I've learned. So you've got your tunnels. And it's going to be trial and error to get them to the positions that you want to go, because you might want to go straight out this way and then have to go a little bit to the right to get around something, or go turn and then go to the left because there's some kind of cavern that you have to run around or something. But again, all that's up to you. You can build that your way. These are just kind of ideas to get you where you want to go. And speaking of those ideas, let's go over to the castle. Because now that you've got the important parts out of the way, knowing how to build the tunnels, knowing where you want to put the lions, knowing that you've got the launch bay, you know, that important piece that I talked about, now you need to figure out where you're going to put it and how all that's going to play out. And what do I have here but a basic framework of the castle itself. Now this is just the one that I used. It's not accurate to the one that I made in my previous video. It's better, and I say that it's better because if you look very carefully at the other video, you'll see that I screwed up the towers. I rebuilt them probably about 7 times, and just finally said to heck with it when I got it where it was close enough. These towers are actually a little bit better, at least in my opinion. And I've got them scaled to where they fit better. This is going to be one of the things that is going to mess you up when you make your castle. And it's true with any of the castles. If you're going to put towers on them, it's going to be trial and error, especially because at the bottom of my castle here, it's bigger than the top. So if you want to keep that proportionate and you want to keep it scaled out, you kind of have to figure out, I want it to be this big at the top, and I want it to be this big at the bottom, and what does that come out to? So how I figured out how to do that, and it took me a lot of attempts, which I didn't even use when my last build. I figured this all out while making this tutorial, so it's as new to me as it is to you guys. I built the square framework for the main area, and I built that based on that most important piece, that launcher. That launcher is not going to go right here. This is your main floor of the castle. People are going to be coming in through the front door, and they're going to see the black lion out here somewhere. They're going to come in here, and this is all going to be floor. That main tower, that main important piece, remember, is in the basement. So you're going to have to dig out a whole area underneath the castle where you want that launcher to be, and then build stairs or some other way down to get there. Where you put those stairs is up to you. If you want them up by the front door, you can put them up by the front door. If you want them in the back corner, you can put them in the back corner, but they'll lead down to that level. And that level with that tower is, if you did what I did, which is I perfectly centered it in the middle of the room. It's the only thing that was in that room. Big open square with that 7x7. You know, it would be, I mean, it would actually be this. Now, how deep you go is going to depend on where you've got your lions. In mine, it actually ended up being very deep because I had to go very, very deep to get to the water level. You know, this one wouldn't be that bad because it's pretty flat to the water. It's maybe, what, 5 or 6 bricks down before you hit water. But if you built the castle, say you built it up higher like I did in my other one, if you built it the base of the castle here, then you've got to go all the way down here to get level with the water so you can build your tunnel out to the water. So you have to bear that kind of stuff in mind, you know, and the coordinates will help you. If you wanted to build your blue lion right here, you know, the up and down, what is that, Z axis, I think, is 44 blocks down. So if you're building your castle way up here, you're going to have to dig all the way down from block 86 down to 44. So bear that in mind when you're making the castle so that you know where you're going to put everything. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but, you know, again, this is your important piece. Because I could put this right here. But then I would just have to dig down. To about there. Oh, nope, I'm at 45. This one's 44. Nope, I did that wrong. See, this is because the block has to be on 43 if you want to be on 44. Right, so there we are. So this is how far down you would need to make your tunnels if you want to get to the water. And you just dig straight out to the water and make those tunnels like I said. You know, 7 blocks by 7 blocks with the glass, fill it with water, and you'd have the nice water tunnel going out to the ocean. But if this tunnel is going to be here, every other tunnel is going to be on the same level. And you're going to have to figure out by the coordinates how far you're going to have to go to connect to the red line or the yellow line and so on. So now that you got the important piece out of the way, now that you've got the launcher down in the basement, you've got the ladders going out to the tunnels to where the lions are, now you can work on the castle. And with the castle, all I've done here is this is your 7 by 7, only expanded out one more block, because your 7 by 7 is actually in here. That's your nice launcher. And then this is a 9 by 9 to outline where the launcher is for the rest of the castle. And then it's just building how far out you want the castle to be in terms of width and length. This leads me to another tip. The castle crest. One of the things that you're going to need to determine is what you want this crest to look like. Now, originally, I just did the 4 colors in a box. And since I've got the black concrete, I'll lay that out for you like I would. And it was just 4 boxes. 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Yep, did that wrong. I do this a lot. Not building the stuff, but building it wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've miscounted or misaligned something or thought something was centered only to be one off on the row. And I've had to rebuild my stuff several times over, which is why a lot of my videos are edited, to be honest with you. Some of those time-lapse ones, I don't show you the fact that I rebuilt the tower 6 times. But this, right here, was how I built the original crest, and I just filled it with each color. What I realized later on was that in some of the images of the castle, there's a gold cross in the middle. So when I remade my last one, I put that in. Now, this does have a bearing on the walls, and that's what I wanted to get to when I'm making this. I do have a point to this, I'm not rambling on. But I want to show you first, this is the pattern, this gray, of how to set it up for each of those. Again, it's the same 4 block squares, just with a gray frame around them. A gap for the cross, another 4 blocks, and the same thing. So this is fairly uniform all the way around. Now, for the wall, and figuring out how wide you want that to be, that's going to depend on this cross and where you want it to be. Mine I've got fairly well centered in the middle of the wall. I think it's off by a little bit, but it works for me. It's off by a little bit left and right, like height-wise. Like this is still the, if you come up here, you go over the wall, you see that's still the exact center point. And when you're making your walls, be sure that when you go left and right and count out how many bricks you're going, be sure to count them correctly. I didn't in my last build, and it was way off in a couple of areas. Like, I think I went 11 one way, 12 another way, and 13 another way. I don't know how I did it. In this particular one, not counting the center block here, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 to the wall. If you're going to do something like that where you have a divider in it, make sure you use an odd number. That way you can have even things going out to the side. So fully across, it's 33. Because it's 16 here, this one in the middle, and then another 16 here. I did say 16, right? Yeah, 16. See, this is what I mean about the numbers. Don't feel bad if you mess this up. I've done it several times. I can't even deny how many times I've had to rebuild a tower or a wall or a section because I counted out 12 when there were supposed to be 13. So don't feel bad if that happens to you. It happens to me all the time. It's one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of tutorials, is because I'll build something, realize it's off halfway through, have to tear it down and build it all over again. It does happen. It does happen a lot. So these particular walls, like I said, they're 33 across, counting the center one block. But the reason why they're that size is to accommodate this crest. If you make a different crest, or if you change this somehow, make it bigger or smaller, you're going to have to accommodate for this changing the size of the wall. And if you change the size of the wall as far as the length of the wall, that's going to affect the dimensions of your tower, both top and bottom. So bear that in mind, because you will do things over and over again. And on that note, I just want to show you real quick before I get back into the wall and the crest with the towers, and we'll use this one. What I ended up doing is 5 across, technically 7 if you count where this gap is, so it'd be the 2 coming out from the wall, the gap, 2 coming out from the wall and the gap, so that's 3 blocks long, the one in the middle 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where I got those 7 by 7. I actually consider this a 5 by 5 because it's 5 actual blocks, but that's just how I keep track of it. Same thing with down here. This is a 10 by 10. Well, actually 11 by 11 counting the center, because it's 5 out, 1 in the center, 5 more. And again, I just made kind of a circular, rounded off corners, and that ties in with the front. To center the crest and figure out how wall your big is going to be, I meant to say that, I have a fairly simple design. Feel free to change it if you don't like it, to extend out the walls at the bottom. And it's just 1, 1, 3, 2, 2. And that's how far out the blocks come from the wall. Going up. Going down, of course, it's 2, 2, 3, 1, 1. Whichever way works for you. But in order to keep it proportional and make sure it worked all the way around the tower, I had to build out the top, come down, figure out if it would work and how it would work to continue that pattern so that when the towers come down, it's still 2, 2, 3, 1, 1. In order to do that, the top needed to be a 7 by 7 square with the corners cut off. The bottom actually needed to be, let's see, what did I say, that was 11? Or no, that was 5 halfway. 7, 8. So this would be a 17 by 17 square with the corners rounded. What I mean by that is it going from here to here, making this an actual square. It's 17 blocks by 17 blocks. I just cut the corners off. And then when you build up the towers, once you have the bottom one, you come in 1 for the next row, come in and go up 3 for the next row, come up and do 2, come up and do 2, and then there's your tower. So that's how that comes out and ends up looking nice and even. It does require a lot of trial and error. I had to rebuild this tower, I think 4 times before I got it right. But again, this is all going to change if your wall isn't as wide as mine. It's going to change if your wall is wider than mine. You might want to make your towers bigger to compensate. Just take your time, do the math, figure out the top and the bottom, work slowly, and don't be afraid to screw it all up and start all over, because I know I did. And as far as the crest itself, I did it 6 rows from the top, 6 rows from the bottom. So there's actually 5 blocks here in between, and there should be 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I didn't do that evenly. See, that's what I'm talking about. Mistakes are made all the time. I'm leaving that in because I'm not going to change it now, but it looks good enough. And for the crest itself, because this gray part is only a framework, this is how we make this. Whoops. Not like that. I'll go ahead and just make this easy on myself and do that. And we're just going to fill in the rest. Making these frameworks of your ideas is certainly a lot more helpful. I am probably going to use them more often in my builds, so you may see them more, because when I was starting this tutorial, it's so much better than what I was trying to do before. Okay, so we're going to need some concrete. And I've already got red, so I'll need yellow, blue, and green. Oh, and gold. That's not gold. And what did I do? I think I did 3 blocks. I'm going to say I did 3 blocks. And then I think I did 5 for the bottom one. I guess I did, because it won't work any other way. I don't know if this is officially the way the colors go for the crest. I just always kind of lined them up to where the arms and legs were for Voltron. It could be something different, I don't know. Tell you what, Minecraft has got some new noises. there's the crest. Take out this gray stuff. So. And the reason why I do it this way, something doesn't look quite right there. I guess that's right. I think before I did the different colors, I think I did red and green on the bottom and blue and yellow on the top. But I built it out so that you have this area behind here, and you can put lighting and give it a nice glowing effect. So that's the crest. And the wall is just a straight square wall. You know, you can see my framework here. It's, like I said, in this particular one, not counting this center block, this is 16 all the way to here, which means this should also be 16 all the way to there because it's nice and square. So just double check, make sure you've got all those nice and even, and then just fill in your wall like I filled in this wall and this wall for the front. And then this is just where I filled in the tower. You can do whatever you want with this part. There's no real pattern for the inside of the castle. The only thing that is ever really shown in the cartoon series is the lion launcher. I think the princess's bedroom at one point. But certainly there's, you know, they all need rooms to sleep in, they all need a place to eat, you know, I'm sure there's a library, and, you know, once the frame is made, you've got this big empty cube, you can build as many floors as you want, you can build as many rooms as you want, you can fill up this whole area, because there's a lot of space here. And then, just above the tower part, it has these little red points that come up. There's no real pattern to that either, I just kind of make it try to look good. And all I've done here is just extend the same 5x5 of the tower up a little higher. Do this on all four corners and just try to do it all the same way and it'll look good. I need to clear this out. I want to get some stairs. I love using stairs for different things, especially walkways. I just think they make great wall edges. You could use fence posts too. I don't think there's any kind of really good ones for quartz. But, I mean, if you want to make it look a little different, you'd use a diorite. Do something like that. Just have a framework around it, and then connect all four towers, and, you know, build whatever you want in there. The second level of the castle, same kind of thing, just a little smaller. Now that I've done that, I think I should have built it one higher. Let's fix those holes. Okay, so at this point you come in and build just another square, another cube, nice and even, same length all the way around. I think this one is 9 by 9 maybe. 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 across, so 8, 16. So this is 17 total by 17 total, which actually makes it the same size as these corners of the tower. And then the same thing would be 17 tall. And it's just another cube. Now it does show in a couple of pictures this little kind of blue piece that comes off to the side. How you make that is going to be up to you. In this particular one, I kind of like just having this one row of them. In my other build, I think I made it about 4 rows bigger, thinking I was going to build something into it. The other thing too is on the castle, along the sides, it does have the same kind of thing in white, where it's got these little pieces that come out. And how you design those and what you want them to look like, that's up to you. Whatever looks good, just make them uniform. And do, on both sides, there's the 3, and then on that far side, there's also another 3, and then the back is just flat. It can be whatever you want it to be. You can even put your own mural. If you have a logo or an icon, you know how to do the pixel stuff for it, you can put it right in there. It's big enough for it. I have my own logo somewhere on one of my worlds, and I think it's about that size. But again, the same thing. It's just another cube. You know, fill in the walls on the top. Make sure it's well lit. And put what you want in here. You know, it's big enough where you could have a couple of floors. Then for the next part, same thing. This one doesn't have any pieces on its side, though. It's just a cube. It's nice and centered right in the middle of everything. And then at the top, it just comes to a point. This particular one, I think this might be the one that's 9 by 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so this one's a 9 by 9 cube. This is 17 by 17. And then this one is, what did I say, 33 by 33? So that's all the castle is. It's 3 big cubes with a lot of decoration. You know, these 3 little black lines. I just kind of try to keep them level with where I put the shields. And just 2 gaps and then a black line. I don't know that that's where they're supposed to go. That's where I put it to make it look cool. So that's really it. I mean, this is the box upon box upon box for the castle. A little bit of decoration. A whole inside that you can make however you want it to make. You want a giant throne room? Put one in. You want a giant library? Put one in. You want individual rooms for the lion pilots? Put those in. Put in a bathroom. Everybody always forgets that there's bathrooms. Put in a bathroom. But the castle is yours to play with. Play with it. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Make it what you want it to be. Make it look how you want it to look. Change the colors if you want. You know, make one of these out of netherrack. I don't know. But that's just how I did it. With some sketches and some designs and some stairs here and there and just some different things. You know, it's not a great tutorial because there's not a lot to go on as far as the internals. You know, there's no set path that says the 3rd floor contains the princess's bedroom as well as the, you know, command center. The, you know, level 4 building 2 is the library. You know, none of that exists. It's a cartoon. They didn't bother planning all that kind of stuff ahead. So do what you want on the inside. It's all yours. And don't be afraid to change things. None of what I say is gospel. You know, if you don't like the way something looks, if you think this looks too square, don't make it a cube. You know, you make it 30 across and 40 tall. You know, it's up to you. Just, you know, plan accordingly so that the rest of your stuff doesn't get thrown off because of it. Trust me, I've been there. I know what it's like to work 5 hours on a tower only to tear the whole thing down because you counted it off by one. And the same thing goes with this stuff too. These are only suggestions. They seem to work. If you like them, do them that way. If you want to change things around, knock yourselves out. Go for it. But really, this is about all I've got for you. You know, this is how I made the tunnels. Nothing terribly complex about those. This is how I made these tunnels. They're just bigger with lava and water. The big important thing is your launcher and where you put the lions. Everything else you just frame around that. Because once you have this, then it's just building a bunch of cubes around it, and you'll be good to go. It'll take time. I mean, all this stuff that I built, I think I spent maybe a couple hours setting all this up just for this little bit. So expect to spend longer building an entire tunnel going out to your lion. Expect to build, spend time building a cave for the lions to be in. But that's up to you. There's no set plan for that. That's all yours. So at this point, I'm going to say that my little tutorial rant thing is over. I hope that this helped. I hope it gave you some good ideas. And I will see you the next time I post a video where I've built something else, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be next on my list. But until then, goodbye.